following me!
Ma'am, I pulled into a spot. That's
You're
all.
following me!
No, I'm not. Ah! Oh, God.
She just sprayed him.
My eyes!
Lady, put that.
The video started shaking before anyone even spoke. A white woman's scream cut through the Florida heat like glass breaking. I knew you were following me. Get away from me. A black man stood frozen beside a silver sedan, his hands open, his face calm but confused. He wore wire-rimmed glasses, a plain gray button-down and work pants with dust on the cuffs. He looked like somebody's uncle. Somebody's coworker. Somebody you'd pass every day and never notice. Then the spray hit. Right into his face. Onto his glasses. Into his mouth. He screamed once. Not loud. More like a breath tearing out of him. Phones came up fast. Someone yelled, "Oh my God." Someone else laughed nervously. And here's the part that would haunt millions later. The woman spraying him kept shouting that she was scared. The man in pain kept saying, "Ma'am, please? I didn't do anything." What no one knew yet, what she definitely didn't know, was that the man she had just blinded on camera was not who she thought he was. And by the time the truth came out, careers would end, lawsuits would explode, and one lie would burn down an entire life. Before we go any further, do me a favor. Hit subscribe so you don't miss stories like this, stories they don't want you to see, and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. City, state, or country. I read every single one. Now let's go back to the moment everything went wrong. You people always act innocent after, the woman yelled, backing up but still pointing the pepper spray like a gun. I just parked my car, the man said, coughing hard now. I don't even know you. Don't lie to me, she snapped. I saw you circle the lot twice. You were watching me. I was looking for shade, he said. His eyes were already red. Tears streamed down his face, mixing with sweat. My AC is broken. The woman scoffed. Of course it is. That was when the crowd shifted. Not closer. Not away. Just enough to see without being involved. A teenage boy whispered, "Dang, she really sprayed him." An older white man muttered, "He should have kept his distance." Nobody asked if he was okay. Nobody told her to stop. The strip mall hummed around them. A nail salon. A payday loan place. A discount phone store with flickering letters. Heat shimmered off the pavement. Somewhere, a reggaeton song thumped from a passing car. And in the middle of it all stood Darius Coleman, blinking blindly behind burning lenses, trying not to fall. Darius Coleman was 38 years old. That he fixed servers for a living. Quiet rooms. Cold air. Machines that made sense. He wore the same style clothes every day because he didn't like choices. Gray. Blue. Brown. Simple. His glasses were prescription. Strong ones. Without them, the world turned soft and dangerous at the edges. He had learned early that calm kept him alive. Darius grew up in Ocala, raised by a mother who taught him one rule above all others: never give them a reason to say you scared them. He followed that rule his whole life. When security guards followed him in stores, he smiled. When coworkers talked over him, he waited. When police cars slowed near him, he kept his hands visible. That calm wasn't weakness, that IT was training. Because long before he ever touched a keyboard or fixed a router, Darius Coleman had learned how fast things could turn deadly when fear met skin color. What nobody in that parking lot could see, hidden under the plain shirt and tired eyes, was a man who had led others through chaos, through gunfire, through moments where panic meant death. But that part of Darius stayed locked away, that he didn't need it anymore, or so he thought. "Don't come any closer," the woman screamed again, even though Darius hadn't moved. Her name was Catherine Whitmore, but everyone called her Kathy. 54. Divorced. Proud of being alert. She wore red, white, and blue flip-flops and a sleeveless top with a faded eagle on it. Her hand shook, but her voice didn't. "I know my rights," she said loudly, like she was performing. "This man tried to intimidate me." Darius bent over, hands on his knees now, gagging as the spray burned his throat. "Ma'am," he said between coughs, "please call the police if you're scared." "I'm not." "Oh, now you want the police?" she snapped. Typical. That word hung there. Typical. A woman filming whispered, "Wow." Kathy turned toward the phones. "Make sure you get this," she said. "They always twist things." Darius finally dropped to one knee. The concrete scraped his skin through his pants. Still he didn't raise his voice. Still he didn't curse. Still he didn't touch her. And that seemed to make her angrier. "You see," she told the crowd. "He's acting. That's what they do." A man in a yellow shirt nodded slowly, like it made sense. The silence from everyone else was louder than her yelling. Sirens came fast. Too fast. 2 patrol cars rolled in, lights flashing blue against the storefront windows. Kathy straightened her back instantly. Her fear vanished, replaced by something sharp and proud. An officer jumped out, hand already on his belt. "What's going on here?" "That man attacked me," Kathy said immediately, pointing. "I had to defend myself." Darius looked up, eyes swollen shut, face red and wet. "I didn't touch her," he said softly. The officer frowned. "Sir, stay where you are." "I can't see," Darius said. "My glasses." "Hands where I can see them," the officer cut in. Darius lifted them slowly, palms open, shaking. The second officer turned to Kathy. "You okay, ma'am?" "I'm shaken," she said. "I thought I was about to be killed." Killed. The word hit like a slap. A few bystanders gasped. Others nodded. Darius swallowed hard. He felt something old rise in his chest. Something cold and steady. He pushed it back down. "Not yet." The officers separated them. One stood over Darius. Too close. "Why were you following her?" the officer asked. "I wasn't," Darius said. "I parked. I was on my phone." "Why'd she feel threatened then?" Darius paused. He wanted to say 1,000 things. He chose the safest one. "I don't know." The officer sighed like he was tired of lying. "Kids." "ID," he said. Darius reached slowly for his wallet. Kathy watched, arms crossed, lips tight. She looked satisfied. When the officer took the card, his posture changed. Not much. Just a pause. He looked again. Then again.
His partner leaned over. Whispered something. The officer's eyes widened just a little. He looked at Darius differently now. "Sir," he said carefully, "is this address current?" "Yes," Darius replied. "And your occupation?" "I work in IT," Darius said. "Contract work." The officer nodded slowly. Then his radio crackled. "Supervisor en route," a voice said. "Eat 2 minutes." Kathy's smile flickered. Darius sat there, burning, blinded, but breathing steady. He knew that look, that pause. Something had shifted. Kathy felt it too. She adjusted her shirt. Looked around. The crowd leaned in. And somewhere behind the blue lights and ringing ears, Darius Coleman finally let himself remember who he was before he learned to stay quiet. The supervisor arrived in a black SUV with tinted windows and no siren. That alone changed the air. People straightened up. Phones lifted higher. Even the officers shifted their weight like students when the principal walks in. The man stepped out slow. Mid-50s. Square shoulders. Gray hair cut tight. His uniform was pressed so sharp it looked painful. His name was Captain Roland Pierce. He didn't rush. He didn't shout. He looked first at Kathy, then at the officers. Then finally at the black man sitting on the curb, hands still raised, eyes swollen shut, tears carving clean lines down his face. Pierce stopped walking. For a long second, nobody spoke. Then the captain said something that made the entire scene tilt. "Why is Mr. Coleman sitting on the ground?" The officer blinked. "Sir?" Pierce's eyes didn't move. "Why?" he repeated, calm but firm. "Is Mr. Darius Coleman on the curb like a suspect?" Every phone caught the moment Kathy's face drained of color. "Wait," she said, forcing a laugh. "You know him?" Captain Pierce took one step closer to Darius and crouched down in front of him. "You hurt?" he asked quietly. Darius nodded once. "Pepper spray." "My glasses." Pierce turned sharp as a blade. "Who sprayed him?" Kathy's hand twitched. "I did," she said quickly. "I feared for my life." Pierce stood up slowly. He didn't look angry. That was worse. Captain Pierce turned to the officers. "Did either of you bother to check his file beyond his address?" The younger officer swallowed. "Sir, his ID came back flagged." "Flagged how?" Pierce asked. The officer hesitated. "Federal." A murmur rolled through the crowd. Pierce nodded once. "That's because Mr. Coleman is not just IT contract." He looked at Darius, then back at everyone else. "Darius Coleman is a retired chief warrant officer. 20 years. United States Army." Kathy shook her head hard. "That doesn't mean anything." Pierce didn't even glance at her. "He served 3 tours overseas. Led counterintelligence units most of you don't know exist. He has a Bronze Star and a Defense Meritorious Service Medal." The phone shook now. "He currently consults for federal agencies on infrastructure security. Some of the systems that keep this city running," Pierce said, tapping his foot against the pavement. "He's touched them." Silence fell like a dropped plate. Darius said nothing. He didn't need to. Kathy stepped back. I didn't know, she said weakly. He looked. She stopped herself too late. Pierce's eyes snapped to her. He looked like what? Kathy's mouth opened. Close. I was scared, she tried again. Pierce nodded. Fear doesn't excuse assault. He turned to the officers. Did he threaten you, sir? He asked Darius. No, Darius said. His voice was hoarse but steady. Did he move toward you? No. Did he touch you? No. Pierce turned back to Kathy. Then what you did was not self-defense. He motioned to an officer. Cuff her. The sound that came out of Kathy wasn't a scream. It was a small, broken sound. Like air leaving a tire. You can't do this, she said. I'm the victim. Pierce leaned in just enough for her to hear. No, he said quietly. You're the lie. As the cuffs clicked shut, Kathy's world collapsed in real time. Her pepper spray was bagged as evidence. Her words were replayed by a dozen phones. Her face, twisted with anger, fear, and disbelief, was already spreading online. One bystander whispered, "She really messed up." Another said, "That man never even raised his voice." Captain Pierce turned to the crowd. "Let this be clear," he said loud enough for every camera. "Calm does not mean guilt. Silence does not mean threat. And fear based on skin color is not protection. It is prejudice." Darius was helped to his feet. Someone handed him water. Another stranger pressed tissues into his shaking hands. He wiped his eyes and finally put his glasses in his pocket. The world was blurry, but his path was clear. Kathy watched him from the back of the patrol car. For the first time she looked truly afraid. An ambulance arrived. A medic flushed Darius's eyes. "Sorry this happened to you," she said softly. Darius nodded. "It's not new." That line hit harder than any shout. Captain Pierce stood nearby, arms crossed, watching the crowd disperse. "You could have pressed charges on the spot," Pierce said quietly. "Assault on a protected individual. Federal angle." Darius shook his head. "I will. Just not loud." Pierce smiled sadly. "You always were like that." Darius finally looked at him. "Some habits keep you alive." Around them, people whispered apologies that came too late. A young woman cried that an older man stared at the ground. Nobody met Darius's eyes for long. Before leaving, Darius turned back once. Not to Kathy, not to the police, to the camera. "To anyone watching," he said, voice calm, simple, tired, "you don't need to know who I am to treat me right." He paused. "You just need to see me as human first." Then he walked away. Quiet. Upright. Unbroken. If this story moved you, subscribe to the channel so these moments don't get buried. And tell me this in the comments. Do you think the outcome would have been the same if the cameras weren't rolling? Let's talk.